Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today I'm going to cover The Sword of Solomon Kane, number 1, published in 1985 by Marvel Comics. Billed as the king-size first issue, number 1 in a 6-issue limited series. Look at this gorgeous Brett Blevins cover, and we're going to get some great Brett Blevins artwork throughout this 6-issue series. Let's turn to our opening page and our title, Red Shadows, adapted from the story by Robert E. Howard, creator of Solomon Kane. At this point, Marvel had the rights to most of Robert E. Howard's creations, of course, including Conan and Kull, as well as Solomon Kane. Our credits for this issue: Ralph Macchio's script, Steve Carr and Brett Blevins pencils, Brett Blevins, cover artist and inker, Joe Rosen letterer, Glynis Oliver colorist, Carl Potts editor, Jim Shooter editor-in-chief. Rural France in the 16th century, a solitary cloaked figure trudges through these deep wooded hills, unafraid of what brigands or bandits may lurk within. He is a driven man, possessed of the wanderlust which has ever taken him far from his native land, and the persecution heaped upon his Puritan brethren by the Church of England. In truth, he is a man like no other, and woe betide any who seek to bar his path, the path of Solomon Kane. Great splash page here. So Kane, as per the Howard story, and this is pretty faithful to the story, finds a half-dead young woman, and he learns the terrible author of her fate. What has happened here, child? Speak to me. It was Leloup, the bandit and his men. He attacked our village, burned it to the ground, robbed and killed everyone. I ran, and he caught me here, stabbed me. Oh, blood, the blood of an innocent child. She dies, then in his arms. A rage burns within him like hottest coal. He has seen innocents slaughtered before, and its sight has never become easier to stomach. He rises, an instrument of the Almighty, the right hand of the Lord, who will seek out those responsible for this horror and revenge himself upon them. He swears an oath, his iron bond to the dead girl beside him. Men shall die for this. Her remains are interred, and a prayer is whispered over her grave. Solomon Kane turns toward the path he knows he must follow. The path he knows will lead to vengeance. Some really great storytelling and very atmospheric in this one. Weeks later, at a candlelit cave not far from the murdered village, the bandit Leloup, perpetrator of the massacre, vents his anger. And when at last our paths do cross, Raton, here is what I shall do to this fool who dares challenge me. Thunk. I shall pierce his cursed heart, and that be the end of this Puritan meddler. Then we may return to our affairs of pillage and plunder, free from his interference. You seem unconvinced, mon ami. Am I not the boldest, craftiest swordsman in all France? True enough, Leloup, but this one who pursues us, he is beyond human. In the past fortnight, we have searched every crevice for miles and found not the slightest trace of him. Yet he has slain our best men, Juan, Jacques, and Lacosta, and we have been helpless to stop him. So they continue to ruminate over how Kane has exacted his vengeance upon them when suddenly one of their number enters and dies in front after a quick report. Or he doesn't die right away, he's injured. We went to the hermit's lair to torture him for his gold. The hermit was nowhere to be found inside. I stood guard outside and saw nothing. Suddenly, the hut went up in flames as if struck by a fireball. And then I saw him as he came from the tree he and the hermit had hidden in. He was like a ghost moving toward me, but I stayed to fight. Gaston is a brave man, Leloup. He drew his pistol in a blur, and I was shot. He wounded. Wounded, I fled. I ran until my lungs ached, and I felt my heart would burst within me. But like a demon from Hades, he pursued me. Beware, Leloup. He is like no man we have ever known. Beware. Gaston is a brave man, Leloup. Ha! I should have taken charge of tonight's foray myself, and then we would have gold to stash and not a body to bury. So Leloup wants to hear nothing of his man's explanations, but Raton chides him. Your false bravado will do little to save us. Has it not penetrated into your skull that if we do not flee, our days are numbered? Perhaps this Puritan is lurking outside the cave, even as we speak, perhaps. And of course, Kane makes his entrance. But before he does, Leloup betrays Raton and kills him to keep all the gold for himself. Lamont, is that you? You needn't waste your concern on the guard. He has been seen to, Leloup. So they have a tense confrontation back and forth, and Leloup makes good his escape by taking out the lights and leaving Kane to pursue in his wake. His steely, unyielding resolve now greater than ever before. Thoom, thoom, thoom comes the ceaseless monotone of the drums. War and death, they say, blood and lust, human sacrifices and feast. The soul of Africa, say the drums, the spirit of the jungle. I really like this 12-panel layout that our artists chose for this particular part of our story. Now we've transitioned. We are in Africa, darkest Africa, and Solomon Kane has pursued Leloup to the very ends of the earth. And we get this great opening page. This has almost, this Steve Carr, Brett Blevins team up on this first issue almost has a John Severin feel to it, which is really cool. Somewhere in Kane's soul, a response chord is smitten and answered. So Kane, being in Africa for likely what is the first time, it has awakened a primal part of his soul, an atavistic part of his soul where he can reach back to his distant ancestors and find that wild savageness within him that will help him survive in this tough environment. The trail of the wolf has led Kane to the coastline of unmapped Africa, where his prey left a Spanish ship and alone went into the jungle days before. Kane instructed the men rowing him ashore to wait 7 days, and if he did not return, set sail they will. The Puritans sought the village on the riverbank, but set back from the bay shore, the jungle hiding it from the sight of the ship. He had adopted a hazardous course, that of going ashore at night. His reason, Kane knew if the man he sought was in the village, he would never reach it by day. But Kane had often gambled his life in slim chances. Now he steals forward, seeking to keep pointed in the direction from which the drums still mutter and grumble. But the jungle threats continue to impede his progress. And now, so intent is he on the reptilian danger before him, that he fails to sense the huge, man-like bulk rising behind him. So Kane is waylaid, he awakens, bound, stripped of all his equipment in this hut with another man, Nalonga, who has also run afoul of Leloup's machinations, and he professes that he will help Kane if Kane helps him. Like a dusky ghost, Nalonga floats from the hut, as two natives enter to take Kane into the presence of the great gorilla god. A black, formless thing, it was brooding and bloodstained like the formless soul of Africa. Thoom, thoom, thoom. This white man you speak of, indeed, my blood brother, Ah, monsieur, we meet again under perhaps more agreeable circumstances, n'est pas? So there's a lot of haranguing back and forth between Leloup and Kane. And Kane is introduced to the man who waylaid him earlier, Golka, the gorilla slayer, who is reputed to be the mightiest warrior of this tribe that Leloup has attached himself to. And it's revealed here that just like in Howard's story, the Gulka, the gorilla slayer, has slain a female gorilla, and he has her sort of unceremoniously staked up in the camp as a trophy, a rather grisly trophy. The hulking giant slouches close to Kane and stares into his eyes, but the steely glare of the Puritan is stronger still, and Golka is forced to break contact. For the first time in his life, the giant is intimidated. In anger and frustration, he strikes at that nearest him in a display of bestial behavior. So he takes this poor tribesman and basically kills him with a spear. They release Kane so that he can duel Golka. Leloup probably thinking that this will be Kane's undoing. The slaughter of the innocent, even a heathen, is a crime against the Almighty, one which shall not go unpunished. May the Lord have mercy on your soul. I shall not. Great wordless sequence here in these 4 panels. Love this open panel in the right corner. You are strong, savage, but in the end you cannot win, for nothing can defeat the man of righteousness, the man of God, all of whose enemies shall fall on the day of reckoning. So Kane is able to out-grip Golka, even though he has an iron grip. Kane's is stronger. And before he can slay Golka, they have him at spear point, and he's once again chained up to this post, and Golka is ruefully looking on. My compliments, monsieur. I did not think the man existed who could defeat the giant in unarmed combat, but enough of this sideshow. All is in readiness for the main attraction. Bring forth Nalonga. So they're going to burn Nalonga at the stake, and presumably Kane will be burned next, but Nalonga has more than a few tricks up his sleeve. This incredible sequence here with the flame. And it's hard to tell in some of these sequences where Steve Carr's pencils and Brett Levin's pencils mesh, or where one takes over with the other. But the result is fantastic. I love this long panel on this page where Nalonga is seemingly succumbing to the heat and flame that is supposedly enveloping him. But his power is strong, and what appears to happen, he animates this poor dead fellow that Golka had slain earlier. And the king of the tribe, or the chief of the tribe, who Leloup has attached himself to, tries to hurl a spear into this zombie, and the spear is hurled back. I see the sequence. I'm misreading it here. With a superhuman effort, Songa breaks the chains of horror that bind him and rises, spear in hand. So he hurls the spear, impales this guy, but since he's already dead, he just stalks forward toward him, the spear protruding from his chest, gets into close quarters and breaks Chief Songa's neck with a sickening crack. Great sequence there. And we can see he is indeed transfixed by this spear. The grotesque parody of life reels above the dead king, as quick hands release both Kane and Nalonga. Kane dimly understood that the tribesmen believed this animated corpse to be the work of the wizard, and they connected the vengeance of the Juju man with himself. Kane touches Nalonga's neck. His flesh is cold, he is dead, and the thing which had slain Songa also lay still. Suddenly, the Juju man's eyes snap open as the knowing reptilian glitter comes back to them. Great Juju, great fetish me. You see, my ghost go out, kill Songa, come back to me. Great magic. So we have some magic at work here, and there is some of that in the Kane stories. Kane realizes that Leloup has slipped away, and so he's going to pursue him. And he takes his sword and goes after them. And this is Blevins here. This is clearly Blevins has taken over the pencils and the inks here toward the end of the story. And he finally gets to meet Leloup, and they're going to have a duel. They close, each believing in his soul that only he could possibly survive the encounter. They are fire and ice opposed, Leloup fighting wildly, craftily, leaving no opening, lunging at every chance. He is a living flame, leaping, feinting, thrusting, laughing like a wild man. Kane's skill is cold, calculated, and scintillant. He makes no wasted movement, no motion not absolutely necessary. Though he devotes more effort to defense, there is no hesitancy in his attack. My compliments, mon ami. You are the finest swordsman I have ever faced. Our struggles could go on endlessly. I intend to see it does not. Treachery. Ah, never have I seen the like of such a parry. I only regret there is not an audience here to appreciate our exchange of skills. Blinded, monsieur? And now wounded as well. Pity, pity, that you must die a broken man, both in body and spirit, for the God you hold so dear has turned his back on you, mon ami. I shall curse you both as I run you through. The Lord has left you, Puritan, when you needed him most. Where is he now, monsieur? Where is he? Not with you, villain. And Kane transfixes him with his blade. Weak from blood loss, Kane stumbles from his slain foe toward a nearby stream to tend his wounds. And little does Kane realize that Golka is still out there seeking vengeance, is about to sneak up and stab Kane from behind, when suddenly he has Kane at a severe disadvantage, but another presence, another player enters the scene. And then salvation in the most unlikely of guises. The shambling form of an advancing ape. An ape which Solomon Kane knows instinctively is the mate of the gorilla corpse he had seen hanging in the village. The shape Kane looks upon is such as he envisioned dimly in wild nightmares when the wings of sleep bore him back through lost ages. Again, that sort of Howard atavism at play here, the idea that these heroes timelessly exist and are reincarnated through the ages. It's a cool concept. We have a savage fight between Golka, the gorilla slayer, and the gorilla whose mate Golka slew. And he basically, in a form of justice, slays Golka. The great simian drags the crushed warrior through the undergrowth, prompted perhaps by some dim impulse of vengeance yet unfulfilled. And Golka winds up hanging, just as the poor gorilla's mate was. Hanging as the she-ape hung in the village. Solomon Kane wonders when this strange beast which walks like a man will turn and attack, but the creature makes no sudden moves. He heads back to retrieve the sword planted in the black heart of the villain Leloup. Then only then might he have the ghost of a chance should the thing attack. He moves but a few feet when the huge hairy head turns. But no fire blazes in the ape's eyes. The creature simply sits near the man, which walks like a beast. Kane senses he has little to fear. As one, they stare at the lifeless figure on the tree. From afar, the drums mutter, "Thadum." The wisdom of our land is ancient. The wisdom of our land is dark. Whom we serve, we destroy. Flee if you would live, but you will never forget our chant. Never, never. So in the end, Kane is ready to depart back to Europe and England. So a great first effort here. Look at this great house ad here. This artwork from Charles Vest, really cool. The Raven Banner, A Tale of Asgard, written by Alan Zellin. It's illustrated by Charles Vest. Very cool. Love this house ad. And then we have another house ad for ElfQuest, which is coming to Marvel, which is neat. Richard and Wendy Penny. Very cool. So yeah, that's The Sword of Solomon Kane #1. A fantastic adaptation of Robert E. Howard's Red Shadows. Really worthy of checking out, and a great value gotten from a dollar bin at Ides Comics last week. Just a really solid, great bit of adventure and pulp adventure from Robert E. Howard, beautifully adapted by Macchio, Steve Carr, Brett Blevins. Great job. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, and I'll bring you more soon on Scott Reads Comics. Thanks for watching.